Story time. This story is not about her. It's about a falcon that I received as a young bird and had to train up for my previous job. This is quite a crazy story, so buckle up. Here we go. So when I worked at my previous falconry job, I was head of the falconry department for almost 8 years. And in that time, we had to get a young bird to raise up, train up. She was 6 months old. There was some debate as to whether she was 3 or 6, but I think she was 6 months old. And at that point, yeah, they have baby brains, but their body is an adult, basically. Their plumage is different. Their cere and feet may be a different color. This bird came in with kind of that bluish cere and foot color. I showed in my cere video how they can be different. So she was a young bird, but she was adult-sized, right? Just her plumage was still an immature plumage. So it wasn't like she was a little fluffy thing or anything. So she was hatched in Texas. She was a Barbary falcon, which is another Middle Eastern falcon. We often used those at that job. Sakers, Lanners, hybrids, Barbaries, that kind of thing. Anyway, so she came into an airport. Ironically, it's like bird flying, but she comes to an airport. And I had to go to the airport and pick up a falcon. She came in a, appropriately sized crate with a perch in it, and her hood was on. And I had no idea, where to go. It turned out that she was in, the oversized shipping area or something. And I asked a couple of people that worked there, hey, where would I go to pick up a falcon? But it was just kind of the same area where if you had, brought a dog or cat with you, that it would have been available for pickup. Anyway, as a falconer does, we usually have some sort of food for birds with us when we're going to handle them, just in case, I don't know, what if she got out of her hood and flew around the airport and I had to get her down. Luckily that did not happen, but I brought a quail in my purse, basically. So I'm walking through the airport with a dead bird in my purse. It was frozen thawed. I hadn't killed the bird and put it in there. But I'm walking around an airport with a dead quail in my bag, looking for a falcon in a crate. Like I said, I finally got her at the large shipping area. This doesn't involve her, but I don't, it's a falconry story, so I'm gonna leave her in the video. So I picked her up, got her in a crate. She was in good shape. Let the breeder know that we got her fine. He was always very interested in how she was doing. So we're in the car. We are driving off an exit ramp, and I see something fluffy and white in the street. I thought, oh, it's just a possum, an opossum running across the street, because it was this white fur. I slow down, I'm looking at it to make sure that I don't hit it. And then I see it again in the headlights, a few feet up. And it was a rabbit. It was a bunny rabbit. It was a white, fluffy, floppy-eared bunny. Clearly a pet of somebody's, just hanging out on the exit ramp of the highway. So it's off to the side of the road. At this point, I stop because, one, I don't want to hit it. Two, I have to see if I can get it. It's not going to survive long. Even if it doesn't get hit by a car, white animals don't camouflage, so they're always the first to be eaten. Sorry, I got her out of frame. So I stop because I'm trying to get a pet rabbit, and I have a falcon in the back of my car. And the dead quail still in my purse. So I try a little bit. I don't want to cause an accident. The bunny's hopping up and down the grass in front of the headlights. And finally, I failed to get it. I thought it ran off into the woods down the hill, so I wasn't going after it at that point. I'm like, okay, well, it's in the opposite direction from the highway. So I get in the car, turn off the headlights. There's the bunny again. And I'm just like, man, like I can't, this is not happening right now. So I get out of the car. I had like a shirt, like, you know, covering or something like that in the car. So instead of trying to actually get up to it, I just threw my coat at it, basically. Threw the coat on top of it, grabbed it as, you know, well as I could safely. You can scruff rabbits. You can grab them right from the skin right behind their head, like behind their neck. So that's not great for adult animals, but just because of this was a safety situation, I scruffed it. After I got it out of the jacket, it's screaming bloody murder because I've scruffed it. It's terrified. And I bring it into the car and I put it in the passenger seat front. I'm not far from where I have to take the barber now. So I've got a rabbit in my front seat, a falcon in the back seat. She's still hooded, and their sense of smell isn't very good. So I wasn't as much worried about that as I was just laughing at the irony of this. And a dead quail in my purse still. So I get to my job. I call a friend at the time because I'm thinking, I don't have anything to hold this rabbit in when we get to my house. We weren't going to keep it, but I didn't have food for it. I didn't really have a shelter for it. Like, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I don't know when the last time it was eaten. Its claws were really overgrown. It was clearly neglected and either escaped or was deliberately let loose near a highway. It's just awful. So a friend of mine didn't live far from that job. Called her and said, hey, it's like 11 at night at this point. I found this rabbit on the side of the road. Can you come get it? She did come get it. That was kind of the end of the rabbit story. So I go to the door to the job. It's late at night now, and there's security around the building we were in. I had to get in to bring the young falcon to the place we had set up for her. I couldn't get the door open. The door was locked. So we call security. Nothing. There's like a button on the wall to call security. Nothing. We call the building security. They can't open it. It's not like their like place. I don't know. So we're knocking on like every door, every like slightly open area we can think of to try and make noise, to try and have security come out and open the door so I can bring this falcon into the area where we designated for her. The most giant security guard I've ever seen came out to help. Very lovely person. But it was just like surreal. Like here I can't even get into where I need to put the falcon. It's already late at night. This poor bird has been in her hood since whenever she left Texas. We're like just knocking, slamming on the door. I called the owner of the facility and I'm like, what do I do? Like, he was ready to maybe come out there and like open up the building. He lived 40 minutes away. I was like, you know what? I'll take her home with me overnight. Luckily, I had a dead quail in my purse because she ended up coming home to my small apartment. And I finally pulled her out of the crate, gently took the hood off, and fed her the quail. She was very scared. You know, I expected that. So we made sure everything was very quiet and calm for her. But I ended up sitting in my kitchen, feeding a dead quail to a falcon that wasn't even mine. And it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, between the bunny thing and the not being able to get in and like, it was ridiculous. But I you know, by the time I was turned away from work, headed home, I just laughed by myself in the car so loud because I'm like, this is such a typical me story. It's just, you never know what's gonna happen, and it's all about crazy animals. So she was fine. Poor thing took about 20 minutes to finally settle down and eat, so I had to sit there pretty still, pretty quiet the whole time until she decided to eat. We put her back in her crate and took her to work the next day. She was a very smart little bird. She's still there. I'm not going to tell you her name, but yeah, she was a trip. I had her trained up in 3 months. She was the first bird that I had trained to do what we did there, and it was a very rewarding experience for me. And just her gotcha story is just really fun and unbelievable. So yeah, that's the story of a baby Barbary falcon that we picked up at the airport. Thanks for watching. At my previous, wasn't my exact previous job, I'll take her home with me. So, dirt bikes. When I worked at my previous falconry, I have to get in to bring the young falcon to